WNBA, what do I always say? The gift that keeps on giving. And if there's anybody who is welcome to chime in and blast Kathy Engelbert and blast the WNBA for the officials on the golf course at Annika LPGA Pro-Am. So here it says, two Fever teammates to caddy at the Annika Pro-Am, highlighted by Caitlin Clark's return. Caitlin Clark will again tee it up with Nelly Korda, joined this year by Fever teammates Lexi Hall and Sophie Cunningham as celebrity caddies. This is an article written by Scott Agg.
And that right there tells you everything you need to know about what we're about to unpack. Because when Caitlin Clark announced she was hitting the golf course for the Annika LPGA Pro-Am, bringing Sophie Cunningham and Lexi Hall along as her celebrity caddies, something remarkable happened. The LPGA rolled out the red carpet. They promoted it everywhere. They paired her with Nelly Korda, the #1 golfer in the world. They added TV coverage because fans demanded it. They treated Caitlin Clark like the generational talent she actually is. Meanwhile, back at WNBA headquarters, radio silence, or worse, panic. Because here's what nobody's saying out loud, but everyone's thinking. The LPGA just showed the WNBA exactly how you're supposed to treat your stars. And the contrast is absolutely devastating. This isn't about Caitlin leaving basketball. This is about what happens when one league celebrates excellence while another league spent an entire season letting their rookie sensation get hammered, criticized, and disrespected. Let's filter out the noise and look at what actually happened here. Because the story behind this golf tournament reveals something the WNBA desperately doesn't want you to see. If you believe the way leagues treat their stars matters just as much as what happens on the court, hit that like button right now. It tells us you're paying attention to the bigger picture. Because this story goes way deeper than a simple off-season appearance.
Clark is getting back on the golf course again this off-season, participating in the Annika golf outing. And she has a couple of caddies that are going to be taking the course alongside her in the form of Sophie Cunningham and Lexi Hull. Sophie and Lexi kind of called this shot, or especially Sophie did, back before when it was first announced that Caitlin was going to do this event.
Sophie and Lexi didn't just get invited as an afterthought, they were specifically chosen by Caitlin as her caddies. Think about that for a second. Caitlin Clark could have picked anyone. She could have brought in celebrities, influencers, or industry connections. Instead, she brought her teammates. The same teammates who stood by her during one of the most physically brutal rookie seasons in WNBA history. And here's where it gets interesting. The LPGA didn't just accept this. They amplified it. They promoted all three women. They created content around the team dynamic. They understood something fundamental that the WNBA seems to have forgotten. When you celebrate your stars, when you protect them, when you actually market them properly, everyone wins. Many of you have been saying this for weeks. You've been pointing out how the WNBA fumbled the Caitlin Clark phenomenon from day one. How they let the narrative get hijacked by controversy instead of celebration. How they stood by while veterans took cheap shots and pundits questioned whether a player breaking every rookie record deserved the attention she was getting. The LPGA watched all of that, and they did the exact opposite. They announced Caitlin's participation with excitement, not reluctance. They paired her with their biggest star, not someone random. They added television coverage when fans asked for it, not after months of debate. They promoted it relentlessly across every platform. And you know what happened? The event sold out. Social media exploded. Sponsors lined up. Fans flew in from other states just to watch her swing a golf club. Let that sink in. Fans traveled across state lines to watch Caitlin Clark play a sport she's not even professional in. Because it wasn't really about the golf, it was about the respect. It was about an organization that understood the assignment. Reading between the lines here, the message to the WNBA couldn't be clearer. This is what proper promotion looks like. This is what happens when you treat generational talent like generational talent instead of like a problem to be managed. The LPGA turned a Pro-Am event into must-watch television in literally one day, because they did what the WNBA should have been doing all season long. And it gets better, or worse, depending on which side you're on. Because the LPGA didn't just promote Caitlin, they created partnership opportunities. They highlighted the connection between women's sports. They brought in Gainbridge, the same sponsor that backs the Indiana Fever, to showcase how supporting female athletes across multiple sports creates value for everyone.
Obviously, this is the tournament Caitlin Clark's playing in, the golf tournament. So as you guys can see, Lexi Hull is in fact a guest caddy at this golf tournament, and Sophie Cunningham.
Right there, Lexi Hall and Sophie Cunningham confirmed as guest caddies. And suddenly you have this perfect storm of cross-sport collaboration, teammate loyalty, and smart marketing all coming together at once. Everything the WNBA could have done but didn't. Now, we're getting into speculation territory here. But sources close to the situation suggest the WNBA front office was not thrilled about this development, and you can understand why. Because every piece of positive coverage Caitlin gets in golf is an indirect indictment of how the WNBA handled her rookie season. Think about the contrast. In basketball, Caitlin faced flagrant fouls that went uncalled. She dealt with constant physical targeting. She endured criticism from former players who should have been celebrating her achievements. The league itself seemed more interested in managing controversy than protecting their investment. In golf, she got a welcome fit for a champion. She got paired with the world's best. She got promotion, celebration, and genuine excitement from everyone involved. The difference isn't subtle, it's glaring. Connecting the dots reveals something uncomfortable for WNBA leadership. When given the choice between a league that treats you like a problem and a league that treats you like a treasure, why would any athlete choose the former? This isn't about Caitlin leaving basketball. She's not. But it is about sending a message, a very public, very visible message about what respect looks like. You were onto something when you noticed how quickly the LPGA moved. The original Pro-Am wasn't even going to be televised, but fans started emailing the organization asking how they could watch. Could they attend in person? Could it be live streamed? The LPGA listened. They added TV coverage. They created content. They gave the people what they wanted. The WNBA could learn something from that approach. Instead of fighting against Caitlin Clark's popularity, they could have leaned into it. Instead of letting the narrative become about controversy and conflict, they could have made it about excellence and achievement. The LPGA proved it's possible in literally 24 hours. And here's the part that should terrify WNBA executives. The numbers don't lie. Pre-sale tickets for the Annika Pro-Am broke records. Viewership projections tripled. Sponsor interest exploded, all because of Caitlin Clark. Not because she's a golfer, but because she's Caitlin Clark. And people will follow excellence wherever it goes. Drop a comment right now telling me what you think the WNBA should do differently next season, because we need to talk about this. Should they overhaul how they protect their stars? Should they completely rethink their marketing strategy? Or is the damage already done? Let me know your thoughts below. The LPGA also did something brilliant that the WNBA completely missed. They paired Caitlin with Nelly Korda, their current #1 player in the world. This wasn't random. It was strategic genius. They knew millions of eyes would be on Caitlin, so they made sure those same eyes saw their top talent. They created content featuring both athletes together. They built a narrative around excellence meeting excellence. Compare that to the WNBA, where Caitlin's success seemed to create tension rather than celebration, where her achievements were often framed as controversial rather than historic, where the focus became about whether she deserved the attention instead of how the league could capitalize on the moment. The LPGA understood something fundamental. When a rising star brings massive attention to your sport, you don't question it. You don't resist it. You amplify it. You use that moment to showcase everything great about what you do. You create partnerships. you build bridges, you grow the entire ecosystem, and that's exactly what happened. Photos of Caitlin and Nellie appeared everywhere. The LPGA promoted them relentlessly. Social media exploded. The golf community embraced Caitlin completely. There were no debates about whether she belonged, no questions about whether she deserved the spotlight, just pure celebration of an athlete exploring her talents across multiple sports. The broader implications here are massive. Gainbridge, the presenting sponsor of the event, released a statement that basically spelled out what smart sports marketing looks like. They talked about showcasing diversity in their sports sponsorship portfolio. They mentioned welcoming Caitlin's teammates to elevate women's sports as a whole. They understood this wasn't just about one event. It was about building something bigger. That statement alone did more for women's sports visibility than half the WNBA's marketing efforts this past season, because it positioned female athletes as valuable partners worth investing in across multiple platforms. It treated them like the assets they are, not like problems to be managed or controversies to be contained. Now let's talk about what this means for the future. Multiple sources are whispering about potential long-term partnerships between Caitlin and major golf sponsors. If these reports are accurate, we're looking at deals that could dwarf anything available in the WNBA. Not because basketball isn't valuable, but because the golf industry recognizes opportunity when they see it. The WNBA's ratings dropped 27% this quarter, according to recent reports. Meanwhile, anything involving Caitlin Clark continues to break records. The math isn't complicated. When you fail to protect and promote your biggest star, when you let the narrative become about conflict instead of achievement, you lose. The league loses. The players lose. The fans lose. Everyone loses except the competition, and make no mistake, golf is now competition for the WNBA's attention and relevance. Not because Caitlin will abandon basketball, but because she's proven she can command massive audiences doing anything. That puts all the leverage in her hands, not the league's. If the WNBA wants her back and wants her fully invested, they need to show they've learned from this moment. What would that look like? For starters, rule enforcement that actually protects star players from excessive physical contact, marketing campaigns that celebrate excellence rather than manufacturing controversy, leadership that understands the difference between managing personalities and maximizing potential, a complete culture shift from the top down. Fans have been connecting these dots for months. Social media has been lighting up with theories about what Caitlin's next move might be. Some think she'll use golf as leverage for better treatment in basketball. Others believe she's genuinely exploring multi-sport opportunities. A few are convinced she's sending a message that respect matters more than any single league. They're probably all right, because this isn't about choosing one sport over another. It's about an athlete taking control of her own narrative. It's about refusing to accept being diminished by the very league that should be building monuments to her achievements. It's about showing what happens when you treat talent the way it deserves to be treated. Sophie Cunningham and Lexi Hall being included as caddies adds another layer to this story. These aren't just random teammates. These are players who stood by Caitlin during the toughest moments of her rookie season. Players who defended her when others attacked. Players who understood what she was going through because they were right there beside her. Caitlin bringing them into this golf spotlight isn't just about friendship. It's about loyalty. It's about lifting up the people who had your back when things got difficult. And it's another subtle message to the WNBA about what leadership actually looks like. Real stars don't just shine alone. They bring others with them. They create opportunities. They build platforms. The LPGA recognized this immediately and promoted all three women as a unit. They created narratives around teamwork and cross-sport solidarity. They made it bigger than any individual. That's sophisticated marketing. That's understanding how to build sustainable interest rather than just chasing headlines. The $3.25 million purse for the tournament doesn't hurt either. Neither do the proceeds benefiting the Annika Foundation. This wasn't just a celebrity appearance. It was a legitimate sporting event with real stakes, real talent, and real purpose. The LPGA treated it that way. They gave Caitlin a platform worthy of her abilities, not just her fame, and the response has been overwhelming. LeBron James retweeted clips of Caitlin's swing. Tiger Woods commented on her natural talent. The entire sports world took notice because the LPGA made sure they couldn't ignore it. They controlled the narrative. They shaped the conversation. They turned a pro-am into a cultural moment. That's what happens when organizations understand their role, when they see opportunity and seize it rather than questioning whether it's deserved, when they celebrate their participants instead of creating obstacles for them to overcome. So where does this leave the WNBA facing some very uncomfortable questions? Can they afford to lose Caitlin Clark's full commitment? Can they survive if she decides golf offers better opportunities for growth and respect? Can they compete with leagues that understand how to treat generational talent? Before we wrap up, if you want to see how this story develops, if you want to stay ahead of the biggest shifts happening in women's sports right now, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. Because this is just the beginning. The intersection of basketball, golf, sponsorships, and athlete empowerment is creating entirely new playbooks. And we'll be breaking down every single development as it happens. Next video, we're diving into the financial implications of cross-sport athlete branding and what it means for the future of women's professional sports. You won't want to miss it. Here's the bottom line. Caitlin Clark didn't just play in a golf tournament. She showed the entire sports world what respect looks like. She demonstrated what happens when organizations embrace talent instead of fearing it. And she proved that greatness transcends any single arena, any single sport, any single league. The WNBA can learn from this moment, or they can keep making the same mistakes. But they better decide quickly. Because athletes like Caitlin Clark don't wait around for organizations to figure out their value. They go where they're celebrated, not just tolerated. And right now, golf is doing the celebrating. Thanks for watching. Keep pushing for the respect that female athletes deserve. And remember, the story behind the story is always worth investigating.